It's time. It's time to take the time to bridge the gap between your desire and your potential, which means it's time to get your shit together now. So what do I mean by getting your shit together? Let's start by talking about shit. Everybody has issues. Your issues are not the problem. Martin Luther King had issues. Helen Keller had issues. It's being victim to your issues. It's thinking you'll never have what you want, that you can't be happy, and that other people are your problem. This is your shit. So getting your shit together does not mean becoming a perfect or enlightened person. It doesn't mean losing those extra pounds that you've been struggling with. It doesn't even mean that you have to stop running around like a chicken with your head cut off to do all of those meaningful and mundane things that we do to keep our businesses and family life afloat. I mean, those things might be nice benefits of getting your shit together. But to me, getting your shit together means putting in the time and energy where you can find it to truly knowing yourself. We are filled with so many people's voices, people's needs, people's desires, our own senses of shoulds and shouldn'ts. Getting your shit together means that you sit down and listen to those voices and distinguish between what's yours and what's not. Listening to the depth of your own authenticity. And this takes skill. You need to learn the skills to distinguish your voice of authority from other voices. Getting your shit together is an act of self-love in which you take a firm stand against the voices, inner and outer, that make you feel bad, so that you can open up to something else, to the information that you need to get you where you want to go. So if the prospect of getting your shit together feels exhausting, I want to ask you how exhausted you feel living life with the sense that you don't have your shit together. I want to tell you a story about a woman I work with who generously lent me her story for this talk. She came to me wanting help quitting her job, but secretly what she wanted was for me to somehow fix her miserable boss. And as we got to know each other and establish what her real work was, it became clear that no matter what she said she wanted, what she really wanted was to complain all the time. And she very bravely looked at this, and I invited her to start studying complaining and complainers, first with other people, and she noticed when she did this, which is no surprise, that when she listened to people complain, she felt drained, which for this woman activated her desire to complain back. And when she boldly looked at her own behavior, she saw that what was fueling this compulsive need to complain was a belief that someone would feel sorry for her and finally fix her problems. And because that never happened, she kept on complaining in the hopes that she would get some relief. She discovered that she was a far less effectual person than she thought herself to be. And this realization opened her to a totally new way of looking at her work situation. Not only did she end up staying at her job, but she enjoyed working next to her former boss, who after her promotion became her colleague. You may not even be aware of the behaviors and beliefs that are running your life so that you can't get your shit together. And once you have that skill and you're able to listen to your gut and your heart and your common sense, you will stumble into your very own perfectly calibrated cosmic GPS. Well, that sounds great, you may say, but I'm really busy. But I want to provoke a sense of urgency in you about this shit business, because the longer it goes undealt with, the more it starts to stink. stink up our inner world, as you know, stink up our relationships, and stink up our health. Now, you can wait until your life is an utter mess, until you absolutely are forced to get your shit together. That's a path. If you can get up the gumption to do what it takes to face your shit now and avoid all that drama, why not? The longer you wait, the older you get, the more shit starts to congeal and harden and constipate your energy so that these default behaviors we're talking about become very rigid habits, almost like shtick. I know a man who in his late 40s was dissatisfied with the choices he'd made in his life. And he had this profound realization that so many of the actions that he took were based on this wounded little 5-year-old boy inside of him. And it was very touching that he was able to see this. But I was surprised that after a realization like that, he was not able to put it to use. The habit of reacting from this young, wounded place was so strong that the actions of people-pleasing and needed to impress were just habit for him, and it was very difficult for him to even see it. Eventually, through more consequences, more unwanted consequences, he was able to begin to slowly bring his attention to his behavior. But the older you get, the harder it is. Another reason for getting your shit together now has to do with the state of the world. In case you haven't noticed, that false sense of stability that somehow I think many of us had in the 90s has revealed its true nature. The earth is literally shaking. Now, you want to know who you are. You want to be able to be strong enough to get back to center when things continue, start really going haywire. I mean, old paradigms are melting. It's inviting chaos and destruction and important change. You want to know who you are and what you need so you can navigate in difficult and unstable times without falling into total personal collapse. And the final reason for getting your shit together now is because the world needs you. You may already know that the people in your immediate world need you, but the world needs your wisdom, your gifts, your focused and unhijacked energy to contribute to the changes that are happening. Getting your shit together is imperative and urgent. And if you respond to what I'm saying today and you feel like you would like some assistance, I would be delighted to help you. As someone who's been poking around in my own shit for 25 years, I know the terrain really well. And it is my passion and my pleasure to help people become their best selves. Now, I work with men and in organizations, but today I really want to talk to you about the importance of groups of women. When a group of women get together in honor of getting their shit together, amazing things happen. It is highly transformative. We soften, we melt, we explode with wisdom, magic happens. One of the most important things that happen when women get together is that we begin to see not only the ways that we keep ourselves from the light, but the ways that we've been trained to keep other women from their wisdom and leadership. And that needs to be undone. I'm not going to talk in too much detail about my 4-workshop series for women called What is Your Real Work? You can look at that on the website. Click on workshops. But what I will say is that it is designed to leave you with a greater sense of personal authority, with a clear sense of your path towards pleasure and satisfying work, leaving you with more confidence about your ability to direct yourself, leaving you with a tribe of support backing you, and the tools and skills that you can practice in order to get you where you want to go, and in order to get you moving again when you get stuck. You also probably know that you don't need me to get your shit together. There are so many resources out there. There are low-cost resources, high-cost resources, low-commitment resources, etc. If you can't find a way to get your shit together that feels good to you, then get your shit together and make one. So getting your shit together is an act of love that will have a tremendous impact on the world. And it is love. Love is the reason why you should do it and why you should do it now. But whether or not you get your shit together, whether you do it now or never, find a way to love yourself, no matter what. Thank you.